Your Welcome with Chael Sonnen is brought to you in part by Great Clips. Save time every time when you use online check-in for a great haircut at Great Clips. Download our free app or check in online at greatclips.com. What you do with the time you save is totally up to you. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
He's defeated every champion from every organization the sport of mixed martial arts has ever seen and retired from the octagon as the biggest draw and the industry's highest paid athlete of all time. And now Chael Sonnen's on podcast1.com. And for that, you're welcome.
Happy Friday, everybody. What's going on? Joel, how should we get this show started? I feel like we've discussed so much this week. I need a kickoff. I need a way.
Okay, so in fairness, we've got a couple things going on. Spike TV is right behind us right now. They are filming the behind the scenes stuff in Idiot's Life, and I keep telling Mr. Chael that it's the Christmas show. And you keep saying, what do you mean it's a Christmas show?
I don't know what that means. Well, I'm looking for an open. I need a way to kick the show off. I like to tell the audience a story, something to engage them, a hi, hello, and every time I ask you what's going on, you just keep saying, it's the Christmas show.
That's not true. I told you 4 or 5 different things. I said Jose Aldo is talking about turning down him and the Holloway fight aren't going on, but he's saying that he may go up to 155 and fight for the interim belt. I threw that out to you. Nothing.
Yeah, but I couldn't run with that because it's not a finished statement. You said you heard a rumor. I think it came from Ariel Helwani's show. Is that right? Somebody recapped Ariel Helwani's show, which said Jose Aldo might fight for an interim title at lightweight, if I'm even following this right, but then there was no finish. It wasn't, yeah, he is, or an opponent or a date. Isn't that right?
Well, and then I told you it was the Christmas show.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
What don't you understand? It's the Christmas show.
Today's December 23rd.
This is when everybody is nice to everybody. People love each other. Me and you were buddies, man. I don't think we should dance today. I think it's the Christmas show. I brought you a present.
That's nice of you. Thank you. What is that, by the way? Socks?
These are socks.
That's very nice of you. Thank you. I have no gift for you, but thank you.
I'm going to take these gloves.
But here's what I'm asking. How do I do an open because it's the Christmas show? I tell everybody Merry Christmas? Fine.
You just did.
Great.
You just did.
To everybody, Merry Christmas. It's December 23rd. What I'm asking
now
is...
the show has started. Da-da-da-da. You started the show.
You farted in the hallway.
Yesterday.
Why did you do that? So here's the thing. We're in the hallway in a studio. This is a business studio. Well, here, I want to explain this for the listeners because you come in here each day like this, like it's a joke. But there is real business going on here. I know we have fun in our little studio, but this is a real office. I mean, what floor are we on? The 13th office and 13th floor of a big old building downtown Portland. Lars Larson, one of the biggest syndicated talk shows in the country, is next to us. I can see him through this window.
He is literally going to tell a story that did not exist. But go on.
What does that mean?
Keep going.
That you created it?
Go on.
All right. So yesterday, we're here. We're walking down the hallway. I'm in front. Joel's right behind me. He cracks a rat in the hallway. As he does it, I take one step, and now there's a door jam, and people can see me. I turn my head to the right where actual business is going on, and a lady dressed in a business suit looks up from her computer. 1 second later, I'm out of the door jam, and now Joel is in the door jam, and Joel looks at her and says, I farted. Which is gross. I'm not even into bathroom humor. But that happened. So I was going to tell this story yesterday just as a way of paying you back for your disgustingness. And you talk me out of it and tell me how that would embarrass you. And I can see it and go, yeah, I can see where that would. So I don't say a word.
But you cry about it.
It's a place of business, man. In the hallway.
Oh, come on.
Well,
come on. You know what? If you know a guy's going to fart every once in a while. Okay?
I find that word disgusting. I cannot believe we're even saying the word. Okay, fine. But you did it in the hall. I
may have.
So I don't say a word about it, and I'm glad I did it. It's weird. I don't know why I'm talking about it now. But other than the story doesn't end. So we get here this morning, as in 10 minutes ago. We're in the elevator coming up, and every day I have a hard... The show is very easy for me, but it's not to get started. I need an open. I need to, hey, welcome everybody in, and then tell them a story, like a hook, kind of get them interested, give them a debriefing of what's going on in the world. That's how we start every show. We get in the elevator, and I tell you, the only thing I can think of is you cracking a rat in the hallway yesterday. Some other woman is in the elevator, and you look at this total stranger to us, and you tell her the story.
You know, as great a storyteller as you are,
it's a gross topic, man.
I believe, because the Spike TV cameras are here. You just blew that story. I laid down for you, and I said, tell that story, and you just blew the story. So now let me go ahead and tell you the actual story. Some of the stuff did happen I did fart. I farted on the way to, it happened. It wasn't that big of a deal. He ran with it. I'm like, hey man, don't use that. That's embarrassing. So then he badgers me about it, and I'm like, all right. He badgered me on the way home. He badgered me on the way in. So we get in the elevator this morning. There's a young gal, probably a little bit older, probably old like me. She's in one corner, and I immediately...
In the elevator.
I immediately walk in and do a face-off with Chael. I keep getting closer and closer and closer until she starts laughing, because we don't look like normal, we look a certain way. So she starts laughing. It's light, and then I tell her, I farted in the hallway yesterday, and he wanted to announce it on the podcast. That was funny. That was a good story.
Yes, I mean, she's mortified.
But again, that was funny.
But why would you do it? Why did the behavior happen? Was this an accident? You didn't know it was going to be so loud. You didn't know it would echo. You just didn't care.
You want to break down the fart, buddy? I can't go into it, but I laid down for the bit. Now let's forward the show on. We got the fart. Now this is my first time ever having a camera or the cool guy stuff. It's my first time. Do you remember the first time that you had this, that you had the cameras behind you doing the behind the scenes? Because it is impossible to act like they're not here.
Yeah, and I don't agree. Okay. I can block them out. They like to pretend they're a fly on the wall, but I do feel that now. They could be here or not. Well, I feel like they're a fly on the wall. But from the first time, I really can't remember. I can't remember. I think I was getting ready to do a match with Paulo Filo. I think. It was a title fight. I mean, I remember we had that, but I don't know if it was the first time or not. And to your point, I do acknowledge that it probably is a little weird to have cameras the first time, but I don't recognize them. So
over the years, you've been able to put them out of your head.
Yeah. So, but here is the thing. I mean, we need an open. You bring up the Aldo point, which I love. I love the whole Aldo thing. Now, one thing that I have found when talking about Jose Aldo, you can make yourself look bad real fast. Because Jose Aldo will do something, take the temperature of the media, and then run it back and chalk it up to a translation issue. He does it time after time, story after story. And at this point, I don't know if he's telling the truth, that he just really does get misquoted and misinterpreted, or if he's just one of these guys that can't stand by anything he does or says and runs it back. And I really don't know. I can't paint him one way or the other, but that's why I hate covering Jose Aldo stories, is because they change from day to day. He'll throw something out there, and if there's any pushback, he'll just say, I didn't say that, and the reporter got it wrong. He was doing that for 10 years. So I love the story that Jose Aldo might be getting an interim lightweight title shot. Now, I thought that was already settled. It was Khabib and Ferguson. But it sounds like it's not, and if you do put Aldo in that mix, and he's talked about leaving 145 forever, but if you do that, you now surrender the 145-pound belt, which he rightfully has. And I realize Max Holloway has an interim belt down there too, but it just becomes a mess. But if you do move Jose up, you put him for an interim title, then you lay the groundwork for a Jose Connor down the road. Now, I could be missing this. I would love your opinion. I could be missing this, but I don't see that as a big fight. I don't see that as a must-see fight. I didn't see that the first time. I know it did great numbers, but I argue that was just because of Connor. I don't see a Jose Conor buildup after they had a 13-second fight the first time, and Jose doesn't do any media. He's great. I'm not questioning his greatness at all. But they did fight, and it was 13 seconds. They scheduled the fight a total of 4 times. It happened one time. I don't feel as a fan like falling back into this trap. So if your rumor's true, if the interpretation was true in the translation, and Jose is moving up to 155, it is for a bigger play that he and Conor will get back in there again. And I'm just telling you, I'll tune in. I got no problem with the fight. I just think with as many moving parts and as many dominoes that have to fall for that to happen, I don't see that as the mega fight that you shuffle the deck for. Am I missing that though?
I think everybody's missing what's going on right now. This is gamesmanship on the UFC on Conor. Conor's went away, said, I want ownership, I want this, I want that, I'm gone for 10 months. And the UFC's now haven't talked to him. Haven't went and Conor's demands was, I'm not fighting again until these owners come and see me. I made them X, I made them rich, he goes off to Ireland. They don't come see him. They take away one of his belts. And now 2 weeks later, they're talking. The rumors are circulating that they're now going to take away the other one. This, on my vantage point as a fan, is gamesmanship, and we've seen it over and over and over again.
Okay, so here, let's stay on that. I mean, I'm not sure. Here's the question I asked you: was simply, do you want to see Jose and Conor again?
No. Fair
enough. Thank you, because I feel the same way, and I will tune in and watch it. I don't know, for all these moving parts, that that's the fight you build up. I didn't love it the first time. Here's the thing. It is very frustrating when the fighters keep saying, I just want to talk to the owners. I just want to talk to the owners. And I get that's a real thing. Sometimes you just want to be heard. You want to kind of know what's going on. You want to take everybody's temperature in a normal business situation or a smaller business. That's pretty realistic. You can get in there with management. You can talk to them, see what the vision is. When you have a business this size, you don't have time in the day to be setting up appointments and talking to everybody. Even if you look at Conor and go, well, this guy's the biggest draw and he's the biggest star, let's set some time aside. Man, pick up a phone or send a text message. At some point, there's only 24 hours in a day, no matter who you are. Dana and Ari Emanuel are in Russia right now meeting with leaders of the Kremlin. They are running business and moving this thing forward. Is everything supposed to stop just so you can talk to a fighter? I mean, at some point, you sit down, you talk to somebody, you hash out a contract, but when the contract's done, that's it. Am I wrong on that? I mean, when the contract's done, that's it. It's got an expiration date, typically somewhere around 15, 18 months. We don't need to talk again. And I'm not being a dick about it. It's just I got to get back to other stuff. If you want me to move this thing forward, get the TV deals, get the sponsorships, get the venues, get everything built, so this circus can go on. I can't be sitting around talking to talent that I've already got locked up under a contract. Then, if I do a really good job at my job, I'm really good at my job, and I make this thing really big, and I then have a guy that I've already got under a contract that turns the gun on me and says, I want more. I got to be looking at it going, you want more because I've worked so hard and done such a good job, maybe even had a little luck on my side, and created this thing into something bigger than it was the day we sat down and did a contract. That's what the business is, though. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm betting on and gambling and putting my hard work into. That I can get the pieces in place, including you, talent, and then build this into something bigger. So that there's a profit left over. And so many guys come back in and go, well, I want to talk, or I want a piece, or I want a bit. You've got a contract. Now, that contract will expire. That's the game. Be on top when that contract runs out. Have leverage when the contract runs out. That's what the game is. But so many people are looking at the ownership and saying, well, the owner should have done this. And some of it's just give me your time. But man, there isn't any. There's 24 hours in a day. I got 4 different networks. I got an online broadcast. I got 53 shows in a year. I mean, I watch guys do this with Scott Coker, and he gives them as much time as he possibly can. But at the end of the day, there's only so much time. Coker has to move on, and I need him to move on. I want to fight Tito Ortiz, Joel. I want to do that. I don't set the ring up. I don't book the venue. I don't bring the fans in. I don't get the camera and the advertisements and the sponsors involved. Coker's got to go do all that. I need to give him time. I need to leave him alone so he can go do those things, right? I mean, isn't it a little bit weird? Because so many times, and I feel every time we do this, that I end up sounding like I'm corporate and I'm with the office and I'm against the boys. I feel like I sound that way every time, but it's because I'm trying to get you to agree that there is a push and a pull here, and there is a time and a place. And every time you have a win, every time you gain a little momentum, you don't get to just go in and redo a contract that you signed your name to and you gave your word. I really just want you to agree with me or tell me I'm wrong. Set me straight on that.
I agree 100%. Are we trying to get heat here?
No, not at all. Not at all. I just want to know with Connor, because
it
feels like every time we do a show, though, and I am yelling at you a little bit, I guess because you're here. I'm just yelling about the topic. I don't mean to be yelling at you. But I do feel like every time we do a show and we look for a headline, we look for something to come and tell the fans, we keep seeing the same song with a different verse and a little bit louder and a little bit worse. I mean, guys are just saying this whole thing over and over. Guys we like, guys whose sides we're on. But at the end of the day, it's like, guys, there is a time, man. The time is when those contracts are up. The game is to have leverage. They are going to know when your contract's up, and that's when you're going to have your hardest fight. That's the game. But if you come out on top and you can sit down and you negotiate and you come in from a leverage standpoint, that's what we're doing here. That's not underhanded to do that by the boys, but it's not underhanded by the offices. You know, Coker can't sit down and talk with everybody. He just can't. He's got to have Richard Chew. He's got to have Mike Kogan. He's got to have his team that can do this. The same thing goes with Dana White. People want to talk with Dana. Man, there's not enough hours in the day. Send him a text message. The guy never sleeps. He'll get back to you, but you're not going to have a full conversation and lock him into something that he's bound to. How many times has Dana come out and told a fighter something, and the fighter comes back and go, he's a liar. He told me this. When it ends up being that, it's like, man, that's not a lie, but things change. It's so hard to have a talk with a guy. I'm just putting myself in Dana or Coker's shoes. If I have a talk with a guy, I'll level with him. But by God, it can change. Things can change. Weight classes change. Somebody wins we weren't expecting to win. Some fight falls through and we need that fighter to come out. I can't lay out the world ahead of time. It's a gamble. It's a bet, man. That roulette wheel spins. You place your bets and then they wave them off. Things have to be able to change without a guy being branded a liar. Well, he lied to me. No, the atmosphere changed. I rolled with it. The show goes on. Things move forward. Shut your mouth. You either want to do this or you don't. Guys coming out bitching because they can't get a conversation? Come on, man. That's boyfriend-girlfriend talk right there. I'm not getting enough attention. That's boyfriend. This is business. It really is. Guys coming out complaining because they can't make a weight class? It's your weight class. You're proclaiming you're one of the best guys in the world in that weight class. Now you're saying you can't make the weight? Well, it wasn't enough time. Some guys are coming out, and gals, hey, I don't have enough time to train. You don't have enough time to train. You're in the ass-whipping business. You didn't think there'd be an ass-whipping contest coming up? We talk about Ben Askren a lot on here. But one of the reasons we love Ben isn't just because he's our buddy. It's because he's a competitor and he does it right. He keeps his mouth shut. He keeps his weight in check and he takes on anybody at any time. That used to be the mentality. Do we have Phil? Please connect Phil.
Yo, the good thing about keeping it 100, we talk about all my favorite topics. Pro wrestling, sports, politics, pop culture. We got unique segments like the Crazy Juventud Guerrero. We got Shane Helms. We got the Lucha Libre Minute.
Listen now at podcast1.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe on iTunes. Keeping it 100 with Conan.
You're welcome with Chael Sonnen.
The champ is here. Champ, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man, I know you had to change practice times for us. We really appreciate that. Look, man, there's some talk going on down here, and we're on the topic of Conor McGregor, and he's saying that he wants to fight maybe sooner than later. They're talking about throwing interim titles in his, he's the champion at 155. They're talking about throwing interim titles in here. Joel is arguing that that's gamesmanship on behalf of the UFC to bring Conor out a little bit quicker instead of sitting for 10 months. I don't know one way or the other, but Conor has come out, Phil, and he said, I want to talk with the new owners. And my argument on that, I'd love to know where you stand. My argument on that, Phil, is you have a time to talk to the owners. If it's you and you're dealing with Scott Coker, or it's Conor McGregor and he's dealing with Dana White. Phil, your time to talk to the boss is when you're renegotiating your contract. It isn't midway through. Am I right or am I wrong?
Right. You're right. But I will tell you, there's times when guys renegotiate halfway through the contract, So it's not unheard of. But what I will say is this. There's a lot going on. He seems to maybe he didn't say everything that I've read. Maybe I've read things that he didn't say. That can happen. But it sounds like he asked for some time off in order to have a child. Now he wants to fight sooner than later. Now they've already matched up an interim fight. They've already given away the featherweight belt. He came back and said, I didn't say I didn't want that featherweight belt. I'm still the 2-belt champion. Maybe he didn't say that. Maybe he did. I just read the headline sometimes. I don't dive into every single story. Now, what I will say is, if that is the case, he kind of needs to make up his mind before he starts calling shots.
Yeah, I agree with that, because he is constantly gaming the system, too. Conor does put out misinformation. He puts out things for headlines. But at some point, you got to rely on a guy's word. If a guy says he's going to take 10 months and you've got 6 venues booked between, now and July of next year, you got to fill those cars. And Phil, I feel like fighters miss that all the time. They want to sit down and talk about talking. It's like, look, there isn't time. Opportunity knocks, and a lot of times it's as quick as a 15-second text message. Do you want this or not? You've been there. You've experienced that.
Yeah.
You've headlined shows for UFC and Bellator. You're a true veteran, so you're a great guy to ask. But the bottom line is you don't always get a meeting. I'll use you by example. You live in San Diego. The offices for Bellator are in San Jose, and for the UFC, they're in Las Vegas. You can't just get in and sit down all the time. Sometimes it is a text, yes or no.
Yes or no. We want to know whether you're in or whether you're out. And, you got to be willing to answer a text message.
Yeah.
And, if that's not what's happening, then I really don't know. I really don't know what it's all about. I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Phil, do you remember the good old day when you first started, when it wasn't even about answering a text, it was about scanning the headlines and sending the text? You'd read a headline that somebody pulled out, you'd jump on your phone and you'd say, I'll do it. Remember those days?
Uh-huh.
Whatever happened to guys like that? Whatever happened to the guys that wanted an opportunity?
Exactly. That's really how I got started. Just kind of following the headlines. Is that when someone in my weight class got hurt? Oh no! I put my word in right away. I want that fight. I was trying to move up the ladder as quickly as possible. And if somebody got hurt and they happen to be main event, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Short notice, I'll take it. Whatever. Top 5, top 10, I'll take it.
Yeah, Phil.
And I don't know what's going on with guys. A lot of guys don't seem to want to do short notice anymore. A lot of guys don't seem to want to do, but I will also say this. The game has changed in that in the time from when that you're speaking about, there were a lot more discretionary bonuses for, within the UFC. And now I think guys kind of have gotten to the place where they've done a lot of favors and haven't received a lot in return. So I will say, and definitely now with the new owners, it's definitely a different marketplace. So maybe that has something to do with whether guys are willing to jump in and take those risks and do those favors and really push for fights, no matter if they want to pay off for their career or not.
Yeah. Hey, I hear you on that. But it moves so fast. That's the thing, Phil, on the same topic, you'll hear people that are turning down fights. And again, a lot of it is short notice, but they're turning it down because they can't make weight in time. Or some people are turning it down saying, well, that's not enough time to train. It's like, guys, if that's the weight class you're in, you got to stay within striking range, whether you have a contract or not. And you definitely need to stay in the gym and stay in shape. I mean, this is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're fighting at specific weight classes for specific rules. That's got to be on you if you're not ready. Come on.
You know what? I was burned up the first time a guy turned down a fight with me. I thought I was just, some guy coming in, and I said, Joe Silva called and he asked me if I wanted to fight this guy. I said, absolutely, set it up today. And then I got the call back. They said, he's not going to be ready to fight a wrestler on 1 month's notice. I said, well, what does he need? What does he need? A decade?
Right.
He's not going to be ready. You're not going to be ready. I can promise you this. It took me half of my life to learn wrestling. You won't learn it. You're not going to learn it, okay? Just do what you got to do and come out and get beat up, man. This is part of the game. Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, and what about tournaments? You know, see, I talk about that in here a lot too, being a wrestling guy and being a tournament guy. And it's like, Phil, we didn't even know who we were going to take on when you go in a tournament. You don't know who else is going to show up, who else's dad is going to throw him in the car and get him to a tournament. Then you take a little more organized level like college. And Phil, you know full well, you enter a 24-man tournament, you don't know who's going to be where. Then even once you do know who's going to be, you don't know who's going to advance. So after you have a match, 40 minutes later, you got another match. You have no idea who it's going to be. And if you don't feel good, you wrap it up and you walk out there anyway. You don't go around and say, oh, I jammed my thumb or I broke my finger. You don't say any of those things. When they call your name, you put on your headgear and you walk out there.
That's it. That's it. I tell people every time, no matter if I have double pneumonia, I don't care what I have. When you see me in that cage, if you see me walk out into that mat, that means I expect to win every time, no matter what. I don't want to hear any excuses after the fact of, oh, I had a broken finger. Oh, I had this. No, man. I showed up because I planned on winning. If I'm so injured that I can't continue, and if I have the real talk with myself and I say, hey, Phil, I don't think you can win with I hurt my shoulder once. I don't think you can win with your shoulder in this shape. Cool. I don't go out in that mat. I have to forfeit. You got to be real with yourself. If I show up, that means I'm winning. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Just don't have that mentality anymore.
Yeah, and even if you're not going to win, but what's with these injury reports? You know, again, back in a tournament, a guy would never say. He would never say during the tournament. He'd wrap it, or if it was over, he wouldn't go back and make an excuse. It'd just be the way it was. And you see these alleged tough guys in fighting, man. They come out and they lay out all these excuses. It's like no one cares, man. You either won or you didn't, and you move forward either way. Let me ask you this. Give me some advice on something. I've been with Bellator now for about 2 months, and I'm only with them via contract. I signed a contract, and I haven't done a damn thing yet. My fight is just less than a month away. Phil, the hardest thing I've ever been asked when I do media for Bellator is people will ask me, why Bellator? Why'd you go to Bellator? And the reason it's so hard is I don't have an answer. I don't know rhetorically how to respond. I don't really care. I'm a fight fan. I don't care if Mayweather's fighting. I don't care if Lesnar's jumping off the top rope for Vince McMahon or if it's you and King Mo. I'm watching. I'm just a fight fan, and I get stuck on that all the time. Right. So here you and I are. We're Bellator guys. We're waving the Bellator flag, and we're talking Conor McGregor. Does that make us bad guys? I mean, at the end of the day, can't we just be fans of the sport? Do we have to? I mean, what do we need to do? I want to do it the right way, but I don't know the answer on this.
Well, you know, you're absolutely right. We're guys that appreciate the sport of it, and the sport doesn't have a certain banner. We definitely love and support our Bellator guys, but I definitely work at a gym that has guys from every single sports league there is. So I end up supporting them in social media and just, watching their fights and any way I can support them. But no, we're with Bellator because, it's simple. We got in this sport because we love competing. I don't know about you. I love competing. I love winning. And then when I was done wrestling, I loved wrestling. When I was done with that, I loved beating the crap out of people, and I still do. And it really doesn't matter where I beat the crap out of people. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's in what city it's in. It doesn't matter if it's in this country or not. And it definitely doesn't matter who pays me.
Right.
I mean,
it's a way to compete.
That does not matter to me.
Yeah.
And so people ask me the same thing. They said, Phil, why the UFC? I mean, why Bellator? And I said, why not? And I wait for them to answer. Well, what about the money, right? No, I'm actually, I'm doing all right where I'm at, bud. Oh, okay. And more, it's not my job to educate people why I do, what I do. It's just because then it seems like I'm against people, and I'm not. I think I'm so thankful from the career I've had, and Joe Silva Dana White taking chances on me when I was a young guy coming up, and just now it was time for me to move on, and I'm thankful for that too. I'm just thankful both ways.
I appreciate you saying that because I felt in the same spot. And one thing I believe in is loyalty, and I want to be loyal. But it's like, look, if Scott and Dana got something going with some competition, let them figure it out. If Spike and Fox have something to figure out, let them handle it. I'm just a fan. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And as an athlete, if you want to compete, you either do or not. You raise your hand, you go in there. Yeah, and I feel like, the guy that works at Chevy doesn't really have to hate Fords. The guy that drives the truck for Pepsi, it doesn't mean he can't drink a Coke in his off time. That's just something you do publicly, but I've never known what kind of face to put on for that. I've really not known how to go forward because I'm a fan of it all. Let me ask you something. Speaking of being a fan, I feel like perhaps your toughest fight in Bellator has already happened. I think maybe the right title fight was you and King Mo. What happens with you now? What do you do in that division? What fights are you looking at? Who are they looking at for you as the next contender now that you're through Liam?
Well, we still got a couple more guys that haven't fought in the weight class, and those guys are they're itching to have their crack at me. Got Litton Vassell, and I think I read who else? It was somebody else. Goodness, I can't think of it. Anywho, maybe Ryan Bader. He's looking to make the jump. So we got some takers.
So you don't have a fight lined up that we don't know about. We don't have any announcement we can make on Phil Davis today.
No, we definitely do not.
Now, Phil, is Ed Ruth out there training with you in San Diego?
No, he's not. He's up in Fresno, California.
Okay, so if Ed comes through and rim wrecks the division for the next couple of years, you hold on to your strap. Would you fight Ed?
I mean, I'd rather not. I love the guy like a brother, but at the same time, he and I both know we love to compete. If he wanted to fight, I would talk to him about it first. And then if he still wants to fight, we fight. I mean, it's nobody's in this to be number two.
Yeah, well, well said. Hey, what are they going to do with Fedor? I know Fedor came over at heavyweight. He's got Mitrione coming up. I was sizing Fedor up. I know you were out there putting an eyeball on him as well. How big is that guy? Is he a guy that could end up at light heavyweight? What do you think is going to happen with Fedor?
He is actually probably he's a good sized light heavyweight if he wanted to be there. I think he's old school though. He's old school. He's not going to cut the weight. He won't. And I truly believe that if he did at this point in the game, it would affect his performance. Chillin'.
Yeah, I think the same way. It's not as though the light heavyweight division is easier than the heavyweight division. I think he's probably where he needs to be. What's going to happen with him and Mitrione? Is Mitrione going to get him? How do you see that match?
Oh, man. It comes down to who's going to strike first. This is not going to be a 3-round decision. I don't think so. Not this time. Whoever strikes first is going to be the guy that goes. This is that simple. I mean, both of them, and especially this fight, I think Mitrione, sometimes he doesn't get going. When he does get going, I mean, the guy's knocked out. It's as simple as that. Sometimes he doesn't get into his groove right off the bat, and then he ends up losing. But I think he's coming into this fully aware of what it means.
Yeah.
So, you're taking on the legend, man. You're taking on freaking Fedor.
Yeah, that's right.
He's not going to be unprepared.
That's right. And Mitrione is always ready. There is always that intangible, which is, does Mitrione secretly, does he look up to Fedor? He is younger. Fedor was here first. Is he going to go out there and show him too much respect?
There is the, does he look up to him? But I don't think it's with him, especially with him, I don't think it's a matter of, I don't want to beat up my legend, you know what I mean? I think it's a matter of, if I were to play one-on-one basketball with Michael Jordan, I would try to dunk on him. I would try to jam on him as soon as possible. And mind you, I don't play much basketball, and I've never dunked a basketball a day in my life, okay? Just yesterday, I was at one of those trampoline parks where you can jump and like trampoline into the basketball hoop. I was living out my dreams right there. That's the closest I'll ever get to playing basketball. But that's how I look at it. I think he's going to go out there and try to, out Fedor.
Sure. Yeah, and he definitely could. I mean, he definitely could. Mitrione's really good. And you know what else Mitrione does well is he avoids punches. Guys throw punches at him, and he pulls back, and the punch goes past his face, misses by about a centimeter. It's a dangerous game to play, but it is one that he plays well.
It is. He's actually a freaking really fast heavyweight. He's a very fast heavyweight. I know. I train with him a little bit, and he's. I mean, for what you think you're getting, like a fat guy. You're not getting a fat guy. You're getting a really fast, maybe like a middleweight as far as speed goes. And this guy just had put on some weight. Which when he explains his story and how he grew up playing football and then in the NFL, makes perfect sense. The man has fast hands. He's agile. Makes perfect sense.
Hey, let me ask you another question business-wise. So at one point, Bellator had some kind of a working relationship with Rizin. And King Mo, by example, who's under contract with Bellator, went over to Rizin, participated in that 4-man tournament. I thought that I heard that somehow they kind of separated ways, but now King Mo's going back to take on Crow Cop. So what is going on there? Is Bellator and Rizin working together?
Well, I don't really know. I think, I guess they must be. But, I think that's a great opportunity. And that just goes to show how progressive and how great of a relationship a lot of the fighters have with Scott Coker. He's not one of those guys that is intimidated by his top talent fighting for another organization. You know what I mean? He's very secure in his ability to throw on a monster show, put out great material for all the fight fans to love and watch. He is the guy you want to fight for. I love fighting for Scott Coker.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty easy to work with.
They must have a deal with Rizin.
They've got to.
Easy to work with.
They've got to. If they're sending Mo over there, they've got to. But I don't know what it is. For example, is Rizin isn't shown on Spike, isn't it? I feel like that's something you got to go on the internet and watch.
Right. I don't think they're on Spike. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what that relationship is. I'll tell you another guy, speculate with me, but what are they going to do with Rory McDonald? I haven't heard any rumors of who his first opponent is.
Oof, I haven't heard any either. Rory is, well, I thought you were going to fight Rory, come to think of it. You came out saying you were going to fight Rory, and I thought that was and then I ran into you. I'm like, man, this guy's really slimming down. The last time I saw you in person, you are easily a solid 230, no fat on you. So I was thinking, oh, that's never going to happen. But now you're like a regular sized human being.
It's funny. Rory was the guy that I contacted Coker about. Some announcement came up about Rory, and I remember when I contacted Coker, I said something somewhere. His name came up, and then I saw Rory at that last show that we were at, Chandler and Henderson. Mm-hmm. And I said, Rory, what? I was in an elevator with him. I said, what do they got planned for you? And he was eating an apple, and he threw out a name. He goes, maybe this guy, and he took a bite. And he goes, maybe this guy, and he took a bite. And then he looks up and goes, maybe you. It's like, well, there it is, Rory. I mean, there it is. But to my point, before I build too much around that, though, isn't he fighting at 170? I mean, maybe he goes up to 185. I don't think he goes all the way to 205. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with Rory. Yeah, maybe I am the answer. I don't know.
Right. Well, I don't really know on this one, but what's great about Rory, he seems like he is just down for whatever right now. He seems like he is perfectly cool with whoever they give him. He doesn't seem like the guy who's going to turn down any fights. I can tell you that.
Yeah, Rory's not backing down from anybody. No, that is true.
No, not at all.
That is true. All right, Phil, I'm looking at the time, man. I know you got practice. You got anything else you want to share with us? Get off your chest. Hopes, goals, dreams.
I mean, I'm just here to be the champ and hold that bad boy down for a little bit. Chael, when are you fighting? I know because you're very strategic in what you do. What do you have planned after Tito?
Well,
tell me, best case scenario, how you're going to win the fight against Tito, and then who do you call out next? Because you're not going to miss an opportunity with a microphone in your hand.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, I mean, as far as the strategy goes, I get in as good a shape as I can. I'm going to try to throw Tito down. If I get on top of him, he's not getting back up. But, getting there isn't simple. He is a wrestler himself. And as far as strategy after that, man, I think I got Vanderlei. I keep hearing things about Vanderlei. If Vanderlei comes to Bellator, I've got Vanderlei. But I don't know where his contract says, and I don't even know, Phil, where he sits with the commissions, because he was on some kind of a suspension, but that got overturned, and then it finally got a date put on it, which I think is early summer. But to the point you made earlier, all I know is some of those headlines. I don't really know the details, and I damn sure don't talk to Vanderlei, so I don't know. But if Vanderlei comes to Bellator, I got dibs on him.
You got dibs on him.
I got dibs on Vanderlei.
Okay. Oh, is there there's already some bad blood there too. I mean, are you willing to fight Vanderlei in Brazil?
Yeah, if they go to Brazil, I mean, I'll fight them wherever they go. And I have to. That's not even tough guy talk. I mean, we have a history. If you ask Vanderlei the same question, he's going to say my name. I'm going to say his name. There's just no way around it. Yeah, we did an Ultimate Fighter together in Brazil. We ended up in a street fight that got documented. Yeah, we were supposed to match up, and it was one of those things that didn't happen. I got on a suspension. He got on a suspension. I'm off, and I think his is coming up. I want to say it's early summer. He's up, and if he is with Bellator, and I read that somewhere too. If all of those things are true, I'm quite sure it'll be Vanderlei and I. Boom.
Well, that's music to my ears.
Hey, let me ask you one wrestling question. One wrestling question before you go. Is Penn State's ranked like 2 or 3 this year? I don't agree with that. I think they're a pretty clear number 1. Where do you are they going to win the title again this year?
I think absolutely. I think we got a few holes in the lineup. And it's not even holes in the lineup. It was just guys that haven't proven themselves because, well, there were other guys at their spot last year that were busy winning national championships. So I think they just need to get some big wins under the belt, and they'll be the easy pick for the champions. I mean, I don't see anyone beating them.
And
as a matter of fact, all my teammates are getting together to see Penn State wrestle Iowa on the 21st of this month, and I was like, guys, I have to go see Chael fight. I can't go. I can't. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here.
Well, you're a good man, and I appreciate that. And maybe you and I can catch a feed somewhere on Flow Wrestling. I want to see that duel too. Bo Nickel versus Gabe Dean. Can Bo get him?
Bo Nickel he's a classic wild card. This guy, I mean, he just throws stuff. He will throw a headlock. He'll throw a fireman's carry. Like, he's just one of those. If anything, his only drawback, I should say, is that he doesn't care enough. He will do whatever he thinks of, whatever he feels in that moment, he'll just do. Whereas, I mean, granted, I'm much more. This guy's going to win 3 national championships. I'm limited compared to him. I go to my number 1, number 2, number 3, move back to number 1, and cycle through. And then, I just see what's there. This guy will throw his number 15 move in the first 5 seconds of a match. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I love watching him.
He just goes for it. So, and that makes him a wild card. He'll stick anybody. So I go Bo Nickel every time.
Cool. All right, well, we are going to find out. Phil, I will see you in a month, buddy. Merry Christmas.
All right, I'll see you then.
Take care, Phil. Well, that was a nice guy.
That was a great interview.
Would we catch Phil in a good mood or something, or what? I mean, what the hell? He was great.
Did you notice what he said about Ed?
Yeah. Well, he said to Ed Ruth.
Well, he said he'd talk to him first.
Yeah, what did that mean? Like he's pull him aside and say, "Hey, here's what's going to happen to you."
I think that's what I got. I got Big Brother talking to Little Brother, saying, "Hey, man, this isn't going to work out for you." Which is, again, Ed's just starting, but Ed should be a killer. I mean, the math always adds up. Superstar wrestler into a real camp, a real training environment, becomes a top-level fighter every single time.
Now, I did think it was weird that you asked him of that. You asked him that because they were Penn State teammates, correct?
In the same weight.
Oh, that's where you're wrong. Ed Ruth isn't 205. Ed Ruth's 185, and even might fight at 170. Yeah, you were way off on your math on that. I thought you asked him specifically because they're teammates, which means they likely have a history together. Look, there's still an answer. I'm not turning on it. It was just fine.
Ed Ruth won.
Ed Ruth is not at 205, though.
You're saying he's at 185. There's no way Ed Ruth goes 170. That's crazy.
Fine, take it off the board. Yes, 185 then.
Okay.
He just had a fight, and I'm trying to remember where it was. I thought it was at 170.
I thought you were there.
I was, but let's say it was at 185. 85. It's not 205.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay. Well, then I'm off.
Yeah. You give it a minute. That might be the solution to the Rory problem. Right there.
How did he look? I mean, did he look green?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he did. I mean, he looked great. You're talking about a handful of an athlete right there, period. You can just stop it right there. Ed Ruth actually got dropped in that fight. It was his debut, and he went down. Now, he fell down to a knee, popped right back up and took care of business. But to your point, is he a little bit green? Yeah, shot got through. He's accepted another fight already. I want to say he's leaving the country. It was a short notice fight. And Ed accepted it. Did he just do it, in fact? Was it over the weekend? Did he undercard over the weekend? The point is, Ed does have stuff coming up, and he's going to have that typical wrestler's mentality. He's going to go out there, and he's going to fight.
Okay, now where is he training at?
He's with Koscheck. He actually went to Fresno. Of all places, he went to Fresno. Now, you thought he was on the other side of California because he is with Bob Cook and Zink and management-wise. But he's training, what do they call it, Dethroned Base Camp. He's training with Koscheck, which I thought was a surprise of places. I thought it was interesting that he went to Fresno as opposed to going to the AKA, being in there with Cormier and Kane. But, I mean, he's in good hands. He's doing just fine.
So we got him. You got Terrell Fortune.
Yep.
That's going to be a hammer.
Sure. Well, you got Joey Davis came over, 4-time champ from Notre Dame. Darian Caldwell's already been there. But they signed another big wrestling stud, too. They've got 5 of them. They're calling them the Fab Five, which for marketing is great, and they are undefeated.
Yeah, and Bellator holds a lot of shows, too, so a guy can go from 0-0 to 5 or 6-0, in 14 months.
Sure.
If he stays on point.
But it goes back to our original point. You need to accept those opportunities. I liked what Phil was saying earlier, where I said, hey, Phil, whatever happened to the good old day where you didn't sit around and turn down an opportunity? As a matter of fact, you went out and looked for him. You sent the promoter messages. And Phil jumped right on that and goes, yeah, I used to scan the internet and I'd send Joe Silva text, give me that fight. I mean, that's the way it used to be. Guys were competing and begging for these spots. Now, there was less shows, though, too. See, I do get a little bit lost because I date back so far. But I date back to where there was 5 shows a year, and then there became 6.
But goddamn, you look good. You look like you're ready to get in a fist fight, brother.
I appreciate
that.
You
really do look good.
I'm still a little bit over 205, but I'm close.
When you start getting hot and those veins in your neck start poking out, I'm like, yeah, just go with it.
But
just run with it.
I'll tell you, Joel, sometimes it does fire me up to watch guys sit back and complain at these opportunities because I know how many hungry guys are out there that want a shot. They would do anything for a shot, and they're doing everything right. They're in the gym every day, but they can't get noticed, or they don't have the right management, or they're trying to come through the regional scene, and the fights fall apart, or the promoters a flake, or the guy pulls out. I mean, the regional scene is tough. Getting exposure is tough. Then if you are a real talent, people hear about you, and they won't fight you anyway. So it is a grind to get up there. Then you look at these guys that are there. They've arrived. They've got what they worked so hard to try to achieve, and they forget. They instantly forget what it was like to scratch and claw and dream big. As soon as you give them that contract, they forget. And now all of a sudden they want a meeting with the promoter. They want a correct training camp, or they got to have this date right. Man, there is no perfect shot. Not everything's going to come together and be wonderful for you. And frankly, we're not going to try to make it. It's a fight. We're not going to do everything for one guy so that it's a perfect world and he can go out there and compete. We're going to grab 2 guys. They're going to pick a date, pick a weight class, and they're going to go fight. That's all it is.
The problem, and we've talked about this, the problem isn't what you're getting paid, because when you go sign your contract, you're happy with what you're getting paid. You know when it changes?
You find out what he's getting paid.
When you find out what he's getting paid. Then it all gets squirrely. The worst thing an owner can do is take his labor force to his house and show him he's got a big house. because then they don't want a better house. They want the owner's house.
Sure.
That's human nature, and it is from business to business, and it matriculates itself in fighting. And we're seeing it all. We're seeing a bunch of it right now, because one of the ways, and it seems like I always have Conor in my mouth, but I do. He's created a ruckus. And the way he's done it is, I don't give a fuck, and money, 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 money. And now everybody's like, okay, now we all have to not give a fuck, and now we all need to get paid because he's getting paid. Holloway's the only guy that came out and said, hey, man, I'm going to be my own star. I'm going to be my own star. And what Holloway said is, hey, man, I don't trust Aldo's going to show up, so I'm not training through Christmas. Now, Aldo is he's pumping his chest like, yeah, the Max fight is off. He doesn't want to fight. Well, no, Max doesn't trust that you're going to show up because your track record dictates that there's a good possibility that you won't.
Yeah. That's just a fair statement on Aldo. And he's a stud and all of that, but we bury him sometimes on here, but he deserves it. He's pulled out of 5 fights. I've lost track. It could be more now. When I quit counting, he had pulled out of 5 fights. And don't forget, he'd been the champion for a meaningful period of time. They were all title fights. He pulled out of 5 of them. He was then offered fights, which he just refused up front. Hey, I'll fight Conor anywhere. I'll fight him in the streets. I'll fight him here. Hey, Jose, you want to fight Conor? No. That happened. And then he goes out and he beats his chest because he doesn't have the Conor fight. It's like, man, they called you and offered you that fight. So for Max to make that statement, that's gamesmanship. If they actually fax him a contract, Max will sign that and send that back. I get the gamesmanship, but his point is fair. It's hard to argue around. Why am I going to suspend anything to fight this guy? I mean, ever. I used to go into training camp every time Vitor Belfort would sign a contract. Every single time, because I knew there's going to be an opportunity. Vitor's not going to show up. He's always in a big fight. He's never lower than a co-main. And I thought there's always going to be an opportunity. When Vitor was getting ready to fight John Jones for the title, I went into training camp. I knew my phone was going to ring. Now, I was wrong on that one. He walked out there and did it. But there are guys like that where you got to this is the game, though. This is part of the game. Having leverage when your contract runs out, knowing who's not going to show up, studying those shows, positioning yourself. When you have one fight and you're done, marketing for the next fight. This is the game. The game is not pay me more money, make sure everything's perfect in my world, make sure my body feels great, let me get through the holiday, and let me sit down and talk with the owners. Come on, man. Do you want to do this or not? Because there's guys out there in this business that are starving to death. I watch them. You know, Jake and Ryan, my number one training partners, they work all day long, and they're at practice on time every time, no matter how tired they are, and they don't give excuse, oh, I'm tired, I'm not coming today. We had a snowstorm. They showed up for practice. There's no excuse. You either want to do it or you don't, but this is life. My father was a plumber, man. You think he called in sick because the roads were bad? Come on. The real world doesn't work that way. And you've got these pretend tough guys all over the place running their mouth. And now some of them, I mean, I've heard the greatest excuses in the world for not going out and fighting. I mean, some of the best, some of the most ridiculous injuries or the weight or the training or my wife said I couldn't do it, whatever it was. It takes the cake for me. In my life of following this sport since 1993 when it was at its inception and I was cutting class to go over to my buddy Jeff Williams' house and watch it on a VHS tape. It takes the cake for me that I won't do a fight unless I can have a meeting with the owners. That is the new ultimate. I mean, I would really look down on a guy when my girlfriend told me I couldn't do it. That was a big one for me at one time. Now, I'm not going to get in an ass-whipping contest unless I can have a meeting in an office with somebody. Come on. Just turn in your pink slip and go. We got other people to do this job, man.
I don't recall my girlfriend said I couldn't do it. That's a good one, man. If you can't run your house, how are you going to run the weight class?
Well, I mean, just come out and say you don't want to do it. I mean, you don't have to put it on her. You don't have to put it on anybody else. But the new one to get out of a fist fight is I need to have a meeting. What?
Got to get that meeting in.
Boy, man, I got this under check, and I've done this right, but
do you feel how soft
haven't had the meeting yet.
Do you feel how soft those socks are?
Yeah, here's the deal, and I am very grateful. I mean, that was nice that you brought me a pair of socks, but in a million years, you did not go to the store, have me in mind to buy these socks. There's also no tags on them, and I'm not looking to gift horse in the mouth. This was a nice gesture, but socks come hooked together through a plastic band, and they have a tag on them.
I've got the other pair on myself.
Okay, so there was
Would you rather have it?
Well, let me ask you this, and again, I don't want to be a dick because this is a gift, but are these socks worn?
No, absolutely not. Now, let me tell you why you got the socks.
Okay.
I actually bought these for you, knowing you weren't getting the pack, that you were only getting these or these. And do you know why?
No.
Because every time my sister Anne Marie comes to town, she buys me and Lad socks. And I asked her, I said, Anne, why do you do that? And she said, JoJo, everybody loves new socks. Right?
Boom. Yeah, no, I get. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very nice.
And it is the Christmas show.
Yeah, on December 23rd. You keep saying that.
Do you realize we have 500,000 listeners? Do you think at least a third of them are going to pop this in on Christmas? And it's going to be Christmas. And they're going to thank the Godfather. And the Godfather says, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. All right. What else do we have? I see you've got some notes over there. Is there anything else you want to go through, or should we let people go out and enjoy their Christmas?
Let's run through Bears one more time. Let's pump up Bears. Bears, Chael's eat off with Bear and your partner Brian is at Bear's Restaurant in Hartford next Thursday, the 29th at 8 o'clock. Now we're gonna do a live podcast out of there, and we want to have a big party. So we'll probably be over there a little bit early. We want to make it a very fan friendly experience. I'm giving out Nick Bones, so if you want a Nick Bone and you're coming, let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. And other than that, I mean, it's going to be a washout. The only chance that they have, and I kind of heard it in his voice yesterday, was that Bear sounds like a really nice guy.
Yeah, Bear's cool. Bear's a cool guy, but look, I mean, we can win this thing. I get that the Bear's a competitive eater. I get the whole thing, but there's 10 minutes. So strategically, we've only got a week to do it, but Brian and I need to come up with a strategy for how we're going to do it, because it is how much you eat in that time constraint. We have 2 mouths. It's not maybe he could eat more, but it doesn't mean he can eat more faster. I mean, he is just a human. It's like he could just swallow this food without chewing. So Brian and I have a way to go, but we don't know what to expect. We've never jammed our gullets with food and swallowed for 10 straight minutes. We might 2 minutes in, it's like, hey, Bear, we're out. Here's the white flag. I don't know.
Now, you know how they do the Coney Island eat off, that they have the competitors walk in, they have their own walk-in music, walk-out music. We have to do that. We have to make it an extravaganza where you two guys walk in and then the Bear walks in and you sit down. I think we need to make an event out of it, right?
Well, that'll be up to the Bear. I mean, this is his restaurant, and he knows how these things go. I've never seen one outside of watching Kobasaki. I've never seen. I don't know how these things go, but yes, you're right. If anyone wants to come to that, it's free. There's no plug here. Just show up at Bears, 8 p.m. next Thursday. It's the day before Ronda's fight. Store it in your mind that way, which will also remind you that Ronda fights on Friday, not on a Saturday. And that's it. And Bear is putting up, now we got to beat him. We got to beat him to get it, but we got $1,000 to beat the Bear. That anybody can get that. He's going to give that to Higher Heroes, and then that's from the business. Then he personally will give Higher Heroes another $1,000 if Brian and I can beat him. So there it is.
I think this was a pretty good show. I do have to give a shout out to LA Double D, my son, my hero. He got a huge part in his 8th grade class, Beauty and the Beast. And if you know anything, you know
in the play.
In the play. And I'm very, very proud of him. And he continues to climb hurdles. And I'm gonna quit labeling it. I'm just going to say Lad's a bad motherfucker.
Good. Hey, here's to Lad. Beauty and the Beast, what's he going to play?
I can't say it.
You can't say it because you can't pronounce it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't know the play, so fair enough. I will look forward to seeing that. All right, well, I guess that's it then. Merry Christmas to everybody.
See? Merry Christmas.
And until next week, I'm Chael Sonnen, and you are welcome.
Thanks for listening to You're Welcome with Chael Sonnen. Download new episodes every week at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One, right after this.
At Great Clips, we have clip notes. Notes that tell stylists exactly what you like every time. Because if you don't get your great haircut every time, unexpected things might happen to you. Without your haircut, your dog might mistake you as an intruder.
Bobo, it's me. Bobo, ow! Ow!
You might get put in a police lineup.
It's him! No, it's not me!
Avoid all the unexpected things that might happen to you with the wrong haircut. Go to Great Clips because they use clip notes. Notes that tell stylists exactly what you like. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Bobo, ah!
AP Update. I'm Violet Economova. Heading home for the holidays. It's a rocky road for some. AP correspondent Julie Walker has more from New York.
There are long lines of people here at the Megabus stop on West 34th Street, including Antonio Andolero, who is going to Boston to visit her family.
I do this every year, so I think it might be a little crazy. It looks a little crazy, but, this bus goes all through Manhattan. It goes all through Harlem, all through the Bronx, and then gets on the highway. So it's like before you even get started on getting on the road, it's already an hour and a half.
She thinks this trip will take 6 hours because of the holiday traffic. Julie Walker, New York.
Tomorrow, local travel could prove treacherous for people throughout the Rockies and Northern Plains. Much of the Dakotas under a blizzard warning, while parts of Minnesota will have to watch out for ice. Forecasters saying people should give themselves plenty of extra time to get to where they need to go. AP Update. I'm Violet Economova.